you want to take your playing to the next level, today we'll explore 5 different basic shred patterns that will help you do that. Okay, so this is our first pattern. A bit faster, it's going to sound like this. And if we apply it to the minor scale, it's going to sound like this. So to play this pattern, we're going to use our first finger and pinky. We're going to play forward by playing 7 and then 10. Then going back, playing 9 and 7. And then going forward again, playing 9 and 10. Most basic patterns you come across will just follow the notes of the scale one by one and simply change the order a bit. We're starting it by playing 7 into 10, and having skipped a note right here in this pattern really gives it a cool sound. At the end of this lesson, after we've explored all the 5 different patterns, we'll learn how to apply them in all the different scales, so if you don't know how to do that, make sure to stick around. Okay, the second pattern sounds like this. A bit faster. And if you apply it to the minor scale again. So in this one, we're not starting from the first note of the scale. Instead, we're starting with our pinky. So we're going to play this backwards and then forward. So it's going to sound like this. This is back. And this is forward. Then we're done with the E string and we're crossing to the A string. Now we're going to invert that pattern we just played. So now we're going to play forwards and then backwards. So it's going to sound like this. This is forward. And now back again. So we have back, forward, forward, back. And this one's a very, very cool pattern, especially if you combine it with different ones. Okay, let's see our next pattern. The third pattern sounds like this. A bit faster. And when playing it on the minor scale. So in this one, we're going back and forth between strings. We're going to start on the E string and play forward. So we're going to play 7, 9, and 10. Then we're going to cross to the A string, play 7, and immediately go back to the E string and play 10, 9, and 7 again. So we'll call this the first half of this pattern. The second half is simply playing forwards the notes of the scale. So we play this. So we have this. And because we're alternating back and forth so much between strings, this pattern sounds tame but also like it's about to combust any second. So I love using it right before I'm entering a melodic or a very emotional solo. And also, you probably realized, but I love muting everything when playing this pattern, except for the single note when playing the first part of it. Our fourth pattern is very, very similar to this one. Matter of fact, it's exactly the same except for one small change. So it sounds like this. So all we did is add a hammer and a pull off to the third pattern. Our third pattern started like this. And this one starts like this. And this small and minor change actually makes a huge difference. So this is how it sounds a bit faster. And played on a scale. So this pattern is arguably a bit easier than its former variation. When we include this hammer and pull off, we give our right hand some time to rest and stop alternate picking. So we're not purely alternate picking, we're also involving some left hand technique. So we're going to play the scale forwards 7, 9, and 10. Then skip to the A string, play 7, hammer 9, and pull off back to 7. Go back to the E string, play 10, 9, and 7. And then we go back to the E string and play backwards 10, 9, and 7. And then just like the last pattern, we're going to play 7, 9, and 10 on the E and A strings. And Andy James has a very cool usage of this pattern in one of his songs. It sounds like this. A very cool pattern and actually fairly easy thanks to this hammer on and pull off. Okay, to the next pattern. So far we've played only ascending patterns. We played from the low strings to the high strings. Now we're going to change that up. So this is a descending pattern and we're going to play from the high strings to the low ones. So the pattern sounds like this. A bit faster. And played on a scale. If you take a closer look, you'll see that it's actually an inversion of our first pattern. So here too, we're skipping one note in the note order of the scale. And then we play forwards and backwards. So after this skip, we're going to play forwards and then backwards. So another thing you can do to play this is use legato. And using legato here is very convenient because after this initial pull off, you have a very straightforward forwards and then backwards pattern. So test it out because this is another great one. Okay, so how do we apply all of these patterns to every single scale? Well, it's actually super easy. Let's take our first pattern for example. We played it right here in the B minor scale. If we wanted to play this on the major scale, the B major scale, all we have to do is change our fingering. So the B major scale is this. So now instead of playing this, we're going to play this. So now playing on the A string will be exactly the same. And throughout the entire scale. And the same goes for all the other scales as well. B Phrygian would sound like this. B harmonic minor would sound like this. And not only that, but you can start the pattern wherever you want on the neck. The pattern doesn't have to start on the E string, you can start it from the D string. For example, we had this pattern. Let's start it from the D string. So you simply take the scale you want and adjust the fingering accordingly. Remember, we learned patterns, which you can apply to any different shape you want. That's why they're called patterns. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.